Let's say you've saved up some money and are looking for components for your new PC rig. The chances are that you'll either have to settle for a budget CPU or face another couple of months saving up more cash for a decent one. Luckily, this need not be your fate if you know where to look for. That is precisely the reason why we've scoured the market for top 5 gaming CPUs in 2020 and have come up with the following list. For more information on the products, I've included links in the description box down below which are updated for the best prices. Like the video and don't forget to subscribe. Now, let's get started. Intel makes some of the best gaming processors in the industry, so the fact that we're opening up our review of the best CPUs in 2020 with one of their models shouldn't be too surprising. Our top budget CPU pick is the Pentium Gold G5400. Most people have heard of the ultra-renowned and popular Intel Core series, and only a handful of hardcore gamers know that the Gold G5400 came out only a few years ago. This is a dual-core desktop processor, each boasting 3.70 GHz of power. Turbo and overclocking features are sadly unavailable with this model, which means that you'll only have approximately 2 cores at 3.7 GHz at your disposal. All is not grim though, as this should be enough for most classic FPS games like Counter-Strike and earlier versions of Call of Duty, as well as most traditional strategy games including StarCraft and Warcraft series. However, if you wish to launch spec-heavy games like Red Dead Redemption, Call of Duty Warzone, and some of the most recently released games, you won't have much luck with the Intel Pentium Gold G5400. One of the best things about this light-duty CPU is that it consumes the least bit of power possible. Namely, its TDP, thermal design power, is only 58 watts while at peak power. The Pentium Gold G5400 features 64 GB of DDR4 2400 memory and sports 37.5 GB per second, MMB, max memory bandwidth. This CPU was designed for lighter gaming, and it means to get you up to speed if you just began your journey through esports and online competitive gaming. It also features built-in Intel's UHD Graphics 610 that sports 64 GB of max graphics video memory that supports 4K resolutions at 60 Hz. The only thing that we didn't like about the central processing unit revolve around its raw power. Namely, it rocks a quality built-in GPU, it supports 4K resolutions, and its onboard storage is pretty great. However, 2 cores with 3.7 GHz each is simply not enough for most modern games. Overall, we should remind ourselves that Intel's budget CPU selection is not so vast and versatile, and Pentium Gold G5400 is one of the finest of the bunch. Though not the strongest, it's definitely one of the most valuable models available for the buck. AMD processors are basically the only CPUs that could ever match or even potentially top the performance of Intel models. The widely acclaimed Ryzen is among the most reputable central processing units a gamer can have, and here we're looking at AMD Ryzen 3200G. Basically, we have labeled this CPU model as our top value processor, picked mainly due to the fact that it's affordable and strong at the same time. In fact, it's just slightly more expensive than Intel's Pentium Gold G5400, yet it offers nearly twice as much in terms of raw strength and performance. In a nutshell, AMD's Ryzen 3 3200G is a quad-core processor that sports 4.0 GHz of strength per core at peak performance. Due to the fact that this amount of strength is substantially higher than average, it should be obvious that 3200G was boosted with the overclocking feature. As far as raw strength and performance go, AMD's Ryzen 3 3200G is sufficiently powerful to smoothly run most 2018 and 2019 games. It should even be strong enough to launch some heavy-duty spec games such as GTA 5 or the newest version of Borderlands and Wolfenstein, for example. Sadly, if you're into competitive online games and want to launch Overwatch, CSGO, World of Warcraft, or even Dota 2 at the highest specs, you might need to consider an upgrade. What makes this CPU so unique and amazing is that it comes supplied with built-in Radeon Vega 8 graphics card. This means that you won't need to invest hundreds of dollars into a GPU upgrade. You'll already have all the memory and strength you'll need to complement the vehement 3200G. Additionally, this CPU even comes supplied with AMD's Wraith, which is a phenomenal budget built-in cooler system that provides adequate ventilation and cooling to the processor, eliminating the need for external ones. In a nutshell, AMD's Ryzen 3 3200G is a processor for gamers who are on a cash-strapped budget. It doesn't consume a lot of power, it features built-in cooling, a strong onboard GPU, and it provides exceptional raw performance needed for medium-spec games. Intel's Core CPUs are the go-to processors for gamers all around the world. They're not popular due to heavy marketing and advertisements. They've earned their fame and their name through reliable, steadfast performance. The i7-9700K is Intel's representative for the middle price point category of the market, and will let its features and specs tell its tale. First and foremost, we should begin by mentioning that gamers typically tend to expend most of their budget precisely on the processor. Intel's i7-9700K is a CPU that's leagues above budget and worlds apart from boutique processors, which means that if you can't wait for the next paycheck, you should definitely go for it. It sports 8 threads and 8 cores, each sporting 3.6 GHz, which means that it's roughly twice as strong in comparison to AMD's Ryzen 3 and 4 times as powerful as the Pentium Gold G5400. To top it all, if you use the turbo feature, you can gear up the cores to work at 4.9 GHz capacity each, which pretty much means that you'll be able to get a level of performance that equals that of a 12-core CPU with the same initial strength. The biggest downfall, and even potentially a deal breaker for most gamers, is the fact that this CPU features a very specific type of compatibility. Namely, it fits on Intel 300 chipset motherboards exclusively. On the brighter side of things, Intel's i7-9700K features built-in UHD graphics 630, just like Pentium Gold, which means that you won't need a considerably GPU upgrade unless you're after ultra-high spec games such as No Man's Sky or the latest Doom, for example. The Intel's i7-9700K is also compatible with the i7 cooling modules, but this particular model does not come supplied with one, which is a bit of a bummer. Obviously, it also consumes a slightly increased amount of power, 95 watts, due to its quad-core design. All things considered, you'll hardly find a better performing CPU. It offers 4.9 GHz per core on the fly, onboard UHD graphics, and it sports 64GB memory support. A while ago, we were talking about Intel's Core i7 and how it's one of the best CPUs you could possibly find in the middle price point category of the market. Those fortunate and patient enough to have saved up a bit more money might want to consider the ultimate core, the i9-10900X. Essentially, Intel's i9-10900X offers so much strength that you'll be set with your CPU needs for at least a couple of years from now. This is a 10-core 4.7 GHz processor that's powerful enough to run some of NASA's computers, which obviously means that you'll be able to run any game at any setting, including the ones that are yet to come out. As a high-performance CPU, it's only obvious that it will drain more electrical power. It consumes 165 watts and requires a pretty solid cooler in order to perform properly, but luckily, it is compatible with Intel's cooling systems that are, unfortunately, sold separately. Another thing that you should know about is that Intel's i9-10900 is only compatible with the X299 chipset motherboards. Even though it's one of the weakest i9 core processors, it belongs to the strongest and most popular Intel CPU series and offers more than enough cores and gigahertz than you'll need for the games that are currently available on the market. We're wrapping things up with AMD's Ryzen 5 3600X, which is our best overall pick. Now, before we delve into Ryzen 5 specs and features, we should say a word or two about the criteria we use during the performance evaluation process. Essentially, Ryzen 5 3600X is not the strongest CPU out there. It's not the most affordable CPU out there, but it encompasses all of the qualities gamers look for in a processor: raw strength, reliable performance, built-in graphics, and optimal onboard cooling. This central processing unit features 12 threads and 6 cores that rock 4.4 GHz each with the boost feature. It's obviously weaker than Intel's i9, but it's also much stronger than most i7s. Performance-wise, Ryzen 5 3600X offers enough power to launch most up-to-date games at optimal FPS settings, which makes it perfect for online competitive games as well as immersive single-player ones. Ryzen 5 3600X also comes supplied with the Wraith Spire, a top-performance built-in cooler that ensures exceptional airflow while preventing overheating and similar nuisances from happening as you game. Compatibility-wise, it can fit on most X570 motherboards, but it's also compatible with standard AM4 platform sockets as well, which means that it's significantly more versatile than most Intel processors. As far as power consumption goes, Ryzen 5 3600X leaches up 95 watts of power, although this is far from being optimal. It's still within the borders of decent. It's perfect for FPS, RPG, MMORPG, strategy, indie, and open world games, or we could simply say that it's equally suited for every game type out there. All things taken into account, Ryzen 5 3600X is a phenomenal processor that binds strong performance, well-roundedness, and compatibility together with ease and efficiency. We highly recommend it to any and every gamer who plays spec-demanding games. Thanks for watching, and that's all for now. I hope to see you guys in the next video. Till next time, see you guys later.